Hey Cowboys Nation, the season is winding down, and here we are, staring at the scoreboard and the standings, and let's be honest, it's been a roller coaster. 44 games of hope, heartbreak, and a fair share of frustration have brought us to this moment. With just 2 games left, and the reality is staring us straight in the face. The Cowboys are officially out of playoff contention. I want to hear from you. Are you done with the season, ready to move on, or are you still holding on to hope for a strong finish? Drop your thoughts because this is the moment to let it out. Now, the talk that's been buzzing around is whether the team should just let these last games slide and tank. And I'll admit, there's a sliver of logic to that argument. With the playoff hopes dashed, some think the path forward is to prioritize draft positioning, but it's not as clear-cut as it seems. There's value in playing, in testing young talent, in building confidence for next year, even if the wins don't move the needle significantly in the standings. There's a fine line between experimenting and trying to maintain some competitive spirit, and the Cowboys find themselves right on it. Looking at the draft picture, there's not a ton of upside in losing these last games. The chances of moving into a top 10 pick are slim, hovering around 4%. Even if the team decides to focus purely on draft strategy, there are too many variables. Other teams winning, overlapping games, and the unpredictable nature of NFL results. Realistically, the Cowboys will probably end up somewhere between picks 10 and 15, a range where the difference in available talent isn't monumental. Perhaps there's a prospect like Caleb Downs, a safety who could make a difference, but beyond that, the impact is marginal. So, from a practical standpoint, there's reason to see the final 2 weeks as an opportunity to evaluate players, give confidence where it matters, and start forming the foundation for next season without getting overly attached to the win-loss column. Week 17 might be the sweet spot to keep the competitive edge alive. Give the starters one last chance to showcase, and then embrace Week 18 for reflection, evaluation, and preparation. When we dive into specifics, there are areas that cannot be ignored. Special teams, for instance, have been a clear weakness this season. The contrast between this year and previous coordinators is stark. Every return feels like a potential penalty is looming, and unfortunately, it often shows up. Players like Cavant Turpin, who might have been viewed as dynamic in previous seasons, have struggled under the new setups. Missed assignments, poor vision, and an inability to capitalize on blocking have made the return game a liability rather than an asset. Beyond returns, his role in the offense has been inconsistent. He seems hesitant in route execution, often breaking patterns that would otherwise create separation or open lanes. On jet sweeps or vertical shots, the decisions are puzzling at times, and combined with his drops and struggles against field conditions, the result is a player who underperforms relative to the team's needs. This is the kind of evaluation that makes the last games critical, not for playoff implications, but for making informed decisions about personnel moving forward. Another pressing concern is the coaching and decision-making on the field. Brian Schottenheimer's season has been a mixture of learning and missed opportunities. Aggressiveness on 4th downs has been lacking, with certain punts and calls leaving fans scratching their heads. Inconsistent red zone play calling, odd personnel decisions, and a tendency to stick with ineffective players in critical moments have fueled the frustration. While not all shortcomings fall squarely on the head coach, the responsibility of overseeing the entire team's performance inevitably magnifies his role in any failure. It often feels like the offensive superstars are compensating more than they should, and the defensive side has struggled to carry its weight, making the balance even harder to maintain. Evaluating the coach now isn't about hindsight. It's about understanding if the leadership style and strategy align with the team's aspirations for the future. Fans are right to scrutinize and question, especially when mistakes appear systemic and repeated over weeks. Defensive woes, particularly in the linebacker core, have been painfully evident. Regression has been the theme rather than growth. First-year players, while excused to some degree, are not carrying the team forward. Veterans who should provide stability have failed to perform at the expected level, and the overall unit has struggled with fundamentals, positioning, and making impactful plays. These gaps expose the team in critical moments and make the defensive strategy difficult to execute successfully. The linebacker group's underperformance reflects broader issues in coaching influence, preparation, and talent development. In a season where every mistake counts, it's no surprise that these lapses have compounded, leaving fans frustrated and calling for accountability. Offensively, the challenges aren't limited to quarterback play or strategic execution. They extend to personnel utilization. Players like Havant Turpin have been highlighted as negatives rather than contributors. With the depth of talent available at wide receiver and tight end, continuing to allocate snaps to a struggling player diminishes overall offensive efficiency. Evaluating these rotations, adjusting for injuries, and understanding who can reliably contribute in various schemes is part of the necessary groundwork for the offseason. It's not just about performance in the moment. It's about building a roster that can compete at a higher level next year, understanding who fits the system and who is capable of executing under pressure. Yet, amid the struggles, there are positives that offer a glimpse of hope. George Pickens' return has injected a spark into the offense, reminding everyone of the explosive plays that make the Cowboys exciting to watch. The ability to stretch the field, create vertical opportunities, and generate scoring chances is critical. These moments serve as a reminder of the talent within the roster and what could be achieved with a more consistent approach in coaching, execution, and game planning. The contrast between moments of brilliance and periods of struggle highlights where adjustments are necessary and where potential can be maximized. Special teams, defensive responsibilities, offensive rotations, and coaching decisions all intersect in a season like this to shape the narrative. While it's easy to get caught up in wins and losses, the real evaluation comes from analyzing the processes, the adjustments, and the preparation for the seasons ahead. This is the lens through which we need to view the remaining games, not as meaningless fixtures, but as opportunities to test, learn, and lay the groundwork for future success. Whether it's building confidence in the locker room, testing new schemes, or identifying which players should take a bigger role moving forward, there's still plenty to dissect, evaluate, and critique. The final stretch of the season is a canvas for lessons that can inform personnel decisions, draft strategies, and coaching evaluations. The Cowboys' offensive stars have carried much of the load this season, compensating in ways that highlight individual brilliance, but also expose structural weaknesses in coaching and depth. Meanwhile, defensive lapses and inconsistent execution across all phases of the game have amplified frustrations. The challenge for the organization is to balance the short-term lessons from these last games with long-term planning for roster improvements, coaching adjustments, and building a culture that consistently competes at a championship level. Every missed tackle, blown coverage, and poorly executed play is a data point for evaluation, providing clarity on what needs to be addressed in the offseason. In assessing the team's path forward, questions about personnel, strategy, and leadership converge. Should the team focus on development, evaluation, and experimentation, or prioritize the remaining wins for momentum and confidence heading into the offseason? Every decision carries implications for draft positioning, roster evaluation, and player confidence. The complexities of the remaining schedule, overlapping games, and potential outcomes make it clear that the Cowboys organization faces difficult choices, balancing competitive integrity with pragmatic preparation for the future. Continuing on from where we left off, let's dive deeper into the ongoing concerns and emerging narratives around this Cowboys season. It's impossible to ignore the ripple effects of inconsistent performance on the morale of both players and fans. Week after week, you see moments where the team could have asserted control, yet they falter in key situations, and that leave a lingering sense of what if that colors the entire season. The line between being competitive and being underwhelming has been razor thin, and it's that tension that fuels these overreactions, these debates about what should be done and who should be held accountable. While some argue for tanking or minimizing effort, others stress the importance of finishing strong, using the final games to assess talent, test schemes, and build confidence. The duality is striking, and it's one of the reasons why this season, despite the playoff elimination, still feels meaningful for those willing to look past the scoreboard. Offensively, The Cowboys have had moments of brilliance that are tantalizing but frustratingly inconsistent. Dak Prescott, when at his best, showcases the precision, timing, and vision that can dismantle defenses, but when misfires occur, the result is often catastrophic. It's not just about the quarterback. The offensive line, play calling, and receiver execution all contribute to a symphony that can quickly fall out of tune. And speaking of receivers, the reliance on players like Kevon Turpin as a gadget player has sparked debate. While he has flashes of potential, his limitations in route discipline, field vision, and ball security have made him more of a liability than a consistent contributor. The coaching staff faces tough decisions on whether to continue investing reps in him or to shift opportunities toward more reliable options like Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan Mingo, or even adjusting schemes to better leverage the depth of talent on the roster. Every snap, every play is a microcosm of the decisions that will shape the Cowboys next season, and the evaluation process cannot be rushed or superficial. Meanwhile, the defense has been a persistent headache. Linebackers in particular have failed to live up to expectations, and it's not for lack of effort. It's often a matter of fundamentals, positioning, and adapting to game flow. Veterans who should anchor the unit have struggled, and younger players, while showing flashes of promise, are inconsistent. The cumulative effect is that the defensive side of the ball leaves the team vulnerable in critical moments, and it puts an enormous burden on the offense to compensate. Penalties continue to be a glaring issue, and when every phase of the game is committing errors, the result is predictable: turnovers, stalled drives, and missed opportunities. It's a reflection not just on the players, but also on coaching, preparation, and the systems in place. Evaluating these failures isn't just about assigning blame. It's about diagnosing where interventions are needed to prevent repetition and to build a more cohesive and reliable unit. Special teams, too, have been underwhelming. The gap between this year and prior coordinators is clear, and the inconsistency in execution has cost the team valuable field position and scoring chances. Every kickoff, every punt return feels like a potential disaster, and players like Turpin, who were expected to excel in this role, have struggled to meet expectations. Coverage units are missing assignments, tackles are being evaded, and the result is a special teams unit that undermines the broader team performance. The coaching staff will need to address this, either through adjustments in personnel, training focus, or schematic tweaks, because this phase of the game cannot continue to be a liability. The interplay between coaching decisions and player execution has been one of the season's most intriguing storylines. Brian Schottenheimer's leadership has been under scrutiny for good reason. There are moments when his play calling and decision-making appear cautious, inconsistent, or even misguided, particularly in critical situations like fourth downs, red zone scenarios, and personnel choices. While it's true that not every mistake falls squarely on the head coach, his role as the orchestrator of all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams, means that lapses in any area inevitably reflect back on him. Fans are right to analyze, question, and critique these decisions, particularly as the season has exposed gaps in aggressiveness, adaptability, and consistency. It's a complex position, balancing accountability with recognition of systemic challenges, but ultimately, leadership is measured by the team's ability to execute, adjust, and respond effectively, and that has been uneven at best. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers in the football world are turning into a roar as one of the sport's most electrifying young quarterbacks appears poised to make a seismic move. SHEDUER Sanders, whose college career has been marked by dazzling plays, poise under pressure, and a knack for turning seemingly impossible situations into highlight reels, is reportedly set to accept an offer from the Dallas Cowboys that insiders are calling irresistible. While no official confirmation has come from either Sanders or the Cowboys front office, sources close to the situation suggest that negotiations have progressed at lightning speed, and the allure of joining one of the NFL's most storied franchises has proven too tempting to resist. The Cowboys, a team long associated with big moves and bold gambles, seem to be betting on Sanders as a cornerstone of their future. Industry insiders speculate that the offer includes not just a lucrative contract, but also significant guarantees in terms of playing time and the chance to develop under a coaching staff renowned for maximizing quarterback talent. For Sanders, this could be the ultimate launch pad, a transition from college standout to a player under the brightest lights in professional football. The mere possibility of him donning the silver and blue has already set fans and analysts alike into a frenzy, dissecting potential lineups and imagining the chemistry he could form with Dallas' current roster. While some critics argue that the jump from college to the NFL can be perilous, others point out Sanders' rare combination of athleticism, football IQ, and leadership skills, suggesting that he may have the tools to thrive in Dallas. Rumors swirling around the Cowboys' locker room hint at excitement among players, who are reportedly eager to welcome a talent capable of electrifying the stadium and revitalizing the team's offensive strategy. Social media has been ablaze with speculation, with fans debating whether Sanders' arrival could signal a new era for the franchise. Of course, in the world of football, nothing is ever truly certain until ink meets paper. Yet the momentum behind this story is undeniable. If SHEDUER Sanders does indeed take the Cowboys' offer, the ripple effects would be felt across the league, from fan forums to analyst panels, from betting lines to draft room strategies. For now, it's all tantalizing rumor and speculation, but one thing seems clear. The NFL landscape could be about to witness a very bold, very exciting move. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.